I think life is so short is the exact reason to like take toxic things out of your life. Find the thing you actually like to do as a career. Take toxic workplaces out of your life. Like take anything that doesn't serve you out of your life because you never know. Tomorrow is not promised. So I am
Hmm.
a YOLO kind of person, but I'm a responsible YOLO kind of person because you do only live once. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, like YOLO, but with measured risk in it.
Exactly. Yeah. I feel like I was like depressed when I was like working in academia. Like I felt like I wasn't being my full self. And I don't want to like just like throw around the term depression. So like I know depression's like a very serious thing. So like I don't want to
Mm,
like, but I think I was like going through something. Like I felt like I wasn't being my full self. I felt like I couldn't bring my full self to the table. I felt like certain aspects of who I was, my personality, my way of being weren't valued in that setting.
mm,
So when you feel
hmm.
like you're in a space when you're not where you're not valued, I don't want to say why even try because that sounds very like, but like I just, well, like you've probably been
Yeah.
in situations where you know that like people won't even like, why give people the full you if if they're just going to misunderstand it or it's not going to like, you know what I mean? So
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think
yeah.
that's kind of like how I felt in academia and why I wasn't able to be as like this is who I am. This is my natural personality, my natural way of being. But if you saw me when I was working in academia, I was like very quiet, very to myself. A lot of my colleagues were a lot older than me when I started. It just didn't feel good. Like I was in this race to get to this place, and then I got to it, and I would, and it, I felt terrible while I was there. Like it didn't. I would do the work and I would do it really well, but it wasn't any place where I'd bring my full self into the work
Yeah.
environment. And I think because I also wasn't bringing my full self into the work environment, like it's not something that's sustainable long term. Like when I see what I'm going to do for 10 years, 20 years from now, like there's no way that I could have continued to do that. And I think when you get those small glimpses of what it is to be able to be your own natural self in the work environment and to be able to bring everything you are to the table, all of your gifts to the table, like it becomes almost like addictive. Like when a lot of the workplaces that I was in didn't really value those qualities about me and you felt like you had to be like one of the guys and that just
Mm.
like that's not me. So I could be my full feminine, black, bubbly, funny, silly self. And that just brings me so much happiness. And that is not always something that everyone gets to have and be. And I don't know if you've been in work environments where you felt like you have to like not that you have to change yourself completely, but you can't fully be yourself. Or there's
Yeah.
like a culture around the workplace where it's almost like everyone is not being themselves. And I don't think being yourself means you have to be like, you can do whatever you want in a professional environment because that's not right. Like even in the work that I do, there's a certain way that we interact with clients. There's just like a certain way of being. There's a certain culture to the work that I do. I work
Yeah.
with a lot of old institutions, so there's just like a certain way we do things. But also on the other hand, I will not work with an organization that doesn't like get me who I am, what I bring to the table, and value me and allow me to just be myself. So I don't know if you've seen that culture at all in other institutions where you're like, this is not aligning with who I am.
Yeah. That's what happened at the big consulting firm I worked at.
Yeah. And I think we don't realize that sometimes as toxic, sometimes depending on your personality, and I don't know if this is your personality too, but we can see that as instead of seeing it as toxic, we will internalize that and see that as like our own shortcoming, or maybe we need to rise to the occasion in a different way. And it takes us a while to realize, no, it's not me, it's them.
Yeah.
They are the issue here. It's not
Yeah.
me, it's them. And I think
Yeah.
again, depending on your personality, if you are someone who like is used to being able to perform in a certain way, you will trick yourself
Hmm.
into thinking, well, I can just perform in the way that they need me to because I'm able to excel in that way. But again, I'm playing the wrong game. Like I said with academia, I could win the game, but I was playing the wrong game.
Yeah. I was like, I know how to win this game, but I don't feel like playing this.
Yeah, it's
I don't
so
need to.
true.
I can just
Yeah,
leave.
exactly.
He says I have to
So
stay for
so
this
true.
paycheck.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Totally. I just want to play one last game with you.
Let's do it.
Okay. If we had this live, this would be so much more fun. But pick one of these.
I will pick the fourth one from the left.
My left?
Yeah.
This one?
Yep.
Okay. So basically for the podcast, because I can't see what we're doing, I'm just picking a tons of questions, and then we're going to ask you one of these deep questions. Ready?
I'm ready.
So
I'm
the
scared.
deep question is, what is your most, okay, my handwriting is horrible, but what is your most terrible memory?
My most terrible memory. Oh my gosh. um, honestly, like I would say, like, and I don't want to be like so work centered because I know work isn't everything, but it's a big part of where we spend our time. And I think
Mhm.
my most terrible memory or memories are tied to working in toxic workplaces and just not feeling myself, not feeling good, knowing something isn't quite right, but also being in a position where like I didn't have the context or the resources to like understand that wasn't good for me. I could
Mhm.
just feel it and I just knew it wasn't right. And I think that time in my life when I was in a place where just like something is not working, something needs to change, like this is not it for me, this does not feel right. Everyone is telling me like this is where you should want to be, this is great, and I'm like enduring it every day and I'm like this is horrible, these people are horrible, I hate this place. Like I think for me, like a lot of my worst like memories or the like terrible memories are like tied to that. And maybe not, maybe that doesn't resonate with everyone. Like maybe there
Mhm.
are people who are fortunate not to have to like be in a toxic work environment. But if you ever have been in a toxic work environment, you know what I am talking about, and
Yeah.
you know how terrible it can actually be. Although it is a place that you get to punch out of at the end of the day, you spend so many hours of your life at work. Like
Yeah.
you can't, like it's just, it can get very, very bad and it can get very terrible for lack of a better term. And I think for me that like is something that I can always look back on as like, whoa, that was awful. And I'm glad I'm in another place, but like I have those moments where it's like, holy, like I can't believe I actually kept going back to that place.
Yeah.
And there are times also where I reflect now and I realize like I don't want to speak ill of anyone, but I realize too sometimes when I'm in certain work when I was in certain work environments and I was a little younger, so I didn't have like the, I don't want to say self-esteem, but I didn't have the self-assuredness to feel this way. Like I realized like those people were kind of dumb. Like they were actually like just kind of dumb. Like I don't know. Like I always thought they like knew what they were doing and like just I just gotta go with it and this is how things are. But like when I look back on it, now that I've kind of built out my own thing, I'm like, those people were kind of dumb and they were kind of horrible.
You would
So
never hire them.
that's like no. And it's crazy because some of them were like very well known in the field and like do big projects, and but I saw the way that they were, like we talked about with mentorship, some people are just like ushered through the front door and pushed along and like they just don't have the grit about them, they don't have the like get up and go to them, they don't have the like there are so many failings and the toxic cultures. I think that also taught me very early on that if I ever do my own thing, that is
Mhm.
exactly who I don't want to be. That is the work environment that I don't want to create. When I bring people on to work with me, either as contractors or permanent staff or like whatever that looks like,
Yeah.
I don't want to create that experience for them. No, seriously, find happiness, whatever that looks like for you. If you're in a toxic situation, find happiness.
Yeah.
Whether you're in your early 20s or your 30s or whatever it is, like find that niche and find that thing that you can bring the like highest, truest version of yourself to, because that's what the world needs.
Yeah. And then the golden handcuffs, they might be there, but you can always solve them.
Exactly. It's true.
Okay. Well, thank you for being part of my podcast. And I realized we actually talked for quite
Yay.
long already, but yeah, I don't even like, I want to air my
COVID hugs.
thing.
Well, thank you so much for having me as your very first guest. I am honored.
Thank you. Oh, and for our viewers, where can they find you if they wanted to find more
Oh,
about you?
you can find everything at coffeehour.ca. That's going to be like my central hub of all my projects. So coffeehour.ca is where I do like a lot of my coaching for people who like are doing purpose driven ventures and want to figure out how to combine profit and also combining doing public good and social good. So if you're someone who, it doesn't just have to be if you're working with churches or if you're a faith leader or if you lead a nonprofit, even if you work in the public sector or you're building your own thing, if you
Mhm.
want to combine profit and purpose, a lot of the stuff that I do is all housed at coffeehour.ca. So I'm building that as my central hub. So definitely head on over there and find me there.
Yeah, and I'm gonna drop her links down in the bio notes and the YouTube notes, but we'll also drop your Instagram so people can see all the great things that you're doing on social media. But thank you for
Definitely.
coming onto my podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
If you like this video, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button. And if you want to check out the full podcast, check out Spotify and Apple Podcasts. You can also join our Facebook group at Impactful. See you there.